Hey everybody, Bob Lazaro here from All Things Leland. I'm pleased to have back for the third time. It's gone by that quickly, George. Is
Yeah.
George Willoughby, the reporter for North Brunswick News, who covers all things Leland and beyond the borders of the town. Welcome back, George.
Thanks for having me. Yeah,
You're
week
welcome.
three or
I mean,
month three.
yeah, it's been busy. I mean, I've been reading the news and been to some of these meetings myself. Quite a lot going on. So let's start with the first one, Cape Fear Memorial Bridge, public hearings coming up. Maybe give us a little background on that and some perspective.
Yeah, so I think we were talking last month. That was right before the MPO meeting,
Right.
and they we had talked about this proposal that they had been floated by a bridge company, and ultimately, I think we were just our video was right before that meeting had happened.
Hmm.
So ultimately, they the MPO and the DOT engineers they said really we're not getting anything out of this proposal that we couldn't do ourselves.
Right.
So they just nixed that. And at that meeting, they talked about the environmental assessment. They said it's ready, it's
Right.
coming. And they didn't put a day on it, but they said it's
Right.
ready. We put it out. So they have put that out, and they've scheduled their public hearings. To they've got two. They've got one over in Wilmington, I think, and then the
Yep.
other one is here. It's at the
Right.
Leland Cultural Arts Center,
Right.
September 15th. So they put out that environmental study, and I mean, it's a doozy. If you want to read
Yes.
hundreds of pages, you
Yes.
can. But um, the two alternatives they're really thinking about is the fixed bridge, which will be longer.
Right.
Um, it won't move up and down, but it will be taller and it will be
Sure.
long. And they say that will have a little more wetland impact in
Right.
that study. Um, it will be a little bit cheaper. I guess that's just because it doesn't have to move.
Right.
But then the movable one, it's a little more expensive. It's a little shorter, um, but it would have less
Right.
environmental impact.
Yeah.
Um, so we've got a story about that on northbrunswicknews.com that came out recently that you can go check out and read all the fine details of
Yeah.
that study.
It'll
Um,
be interesting in there's I guess the third scenario is do nothing, which is not possible. And
yeah,
so you have these two proposals, each which require 135-foot clearance because the Corps of Army Engineers has declared that the navigation channel has to remain open. And there's a considerable number of obstacles to change that in, truncating the channel, etc., which will require, as I understand, an environmental impact statement all on its own. I did have an interview with Mike Kozlowski, the executive director of the NPO, yesterday. And we talked a little bit about, the challenge of the region. They have like 8 billion, 7.9 billion in projects identified, but with no money to implement them. Seventh fastest growing region in the country, important to the economy of the state of North Carolina. And so the issue of the tolls came up, and there's some important deadlines coming up. What Mike Mitskowski told me was two things. One, MPO has to say yay or nay on tolls come February. That's their deadline. But more importantly, is what he said to me was the state legislature would have to enact enabling legislation to allow this tolling to occur. The fly in the ointment now is other legislation that may require the MPO or those localities who oppose the tolling, which may change the project, may have to reimburse the state the money's already spent on the project. So you have all these moving pieces involving the state, the General Assembly, and the locality. So more to be written, I'm sure.
oh, absolutely. What I think is interesting is recording this on Friday. So last night was the Leland Town Council meeting, and
Right,
they got a legislative update from the League of Municipalities and
right,
one of their councils, Patrick Buffkin, and he just talked about how the legislature is changing. They're passing fewer bills, but the bills they are passing, because they're passing fewer, they pack so many things into
right,
it. So um, he talked a little bit about property taxes, how the legislature kind of wants to limit how you can do it. And there's going to be a a state constitutional amendment on the ballot in November. But um, as an observer, it will be interesting to see how and if, I mean, if it doesn't get passed, then the toll is dead. But if it gets passed, how it will get passed,
Yes.
when it will get passed, who really leads the charge on that,
Yep.
we'll see. And it may be one of those, we talked about uh, committee substitutes. So, like, you'll have
Yep.
a bill pass in one side of the legislature, it'll go to the other side into committee, and it'll come out as something completely different
Yes.
that no one has seen. And so it will
Yeah.
be interesting to see if they sneak it in somehow.
Yep.
Not that it would be a secret, but if it's just the process of it will be
Yeah.
very interesting to see.
Well, as an observer, I wouldn't be surprised, George. I mean, I don't know. I didn't follow the meeting last night, but there's legislation that the General Assembly passed on SNAP and localities being impacted by error rates. So even if Brunswick County has a reasonable error rate less than 5%, but the statewide is more than 6%, Brunswick County loses 0.75% of its sales tax off the top, which means that Leland, Southport, Navassa, anybody who gets a piece of the sales tax based upon population are going to take a haircut when they have nothing to do with SNAP administration.
Yep. Yeah.
So I think Jefferson said it right. Thomas Jefferson said, "No man's life, liberty, or happiness is safe while the legislature is in session." And I agree that one of these things is going to be packed into one of these all inclusive bills that at the end of the day, people could say, "I'm going to vote against it," because they know it's going to pass. I mean, the only change will be come November, the General Assembly makeup is going to change. I mean, some incumbents lost, some incumbents are not running, et cetera. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out in the next couple of weeks. I mean, election day is, 3 months and less than 3 months away. All right, so
Sample ballots just came out.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, again, a number of things that have to happen, and then you have, folks who say, "Well, we should make a smaller bridge. It doesn't need to be." It's not as simple as that. And the Corps of Army Engineers and the U.S. Coast Guard are the ones who said, "No, it has to have this certain clearance." So it's just going to be a work in progress. Absolutely. At the end of the day, there's no doubt the bridge needs to be updated. It's obsolete. The equipment that brings it up and down is obsolete. And so something will happen, whether or not it happens sooner or later. It's anybody's guess. Speaking of state things, I attended the hospital certificate of public need public hearing in Wilmington. All three applicants made their presentations by 4 o'clock. 36 folks had eloquently and passionately spoken on what they supported or didn't support. It now goes to the State Department of Health for a decision. It's important. The state has identified 225 bed shortfall in New Hanover County and the region. And so quality of care, access to care, that decision will come late fall, early winter. Again, another thing that'll be interesting to see what happens. You have covered a number of town of Leland stories. The Citizens 6-Day Academy, the Transparency Portal, and the Arboretum.
Sure. Yeah. So um, all of these are kind of uh, products of the last few council meetings, whether it be the agenda meeting on Monday or
Yes.
the meeting last night. So the Citizens Academy is a kind of a product of the 2030 strategic plan,
Mhm.
and it was just a proposal to have a Citizens Academy, learn about the civics of the town. And so what they're proposing on Monday was a 6 week academy. It would start in January with
Yeah.
tentative graduation in February. They're proposing capping it around 20 people
Yeah.
just for that first one,
Yep.
but maybe growing in the future. the timing of the first one, it's during the workday, so it's between
Yeah.
3 and 5 p.m.
Okay.
And that was kind of a point of the council was, what about the working class?
Right.
And
Yeah.
they said, well, the plan as it stands is do this first class, see how it goes,
Right.
and then have a second Citizens Academy in
Right.
July.
Right.
Move it back to 6 to 8 p.m. to get that
Okay.
other half of the population in. But it would talk about all the town departments. They would take tours of town hall,
Right.
the cultural arts center, the
Right.
fire stations, and it would really give a an opening of the doors. Come see what
Sure.
it's like in the
Sure.
building, what we do every day, that sort of thing, which I think is a great thing
Yes.
for. Um, I mean, not everyone's sitting through all these meetings, and
No.
not everyone has watched every meeting for 6 months or
No.
sat in a room. So it really is a great opportunity for the town citizens to meet the
No.
people who are making these decisions day in and day out for the town,
Yeah.
and just learn what they
Sure.
actually do.
And as you know, I mean, people, I mean, are from coming here from all over the place, and so local government is not the same. And when people talk about why don't we do this, and then the unfortunate answer for some of them is well because the law in North Carolina doesn't allow it. But I think anytime the town can make its department heads and personnel available to residents to ask firsthand questions, we're all better for it. And that leads into the next one, which is the transparency portal, which I've taken a chance to look at, and you can find a link in the North Brunswick News story about it. But it's a nice way of explaining, from the number of police calls to animal bites to traffic stops to town revenue, etc.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that's um, in my line of business. You can never have too much information,
Sure,
but it really is a great. It's again a product of that strategic plan. Just
sure.
and you've been an elected official and you've seen enough elections.
Yeah,
Local elections, the buzzword is always transparency.
yeah,
I'm going to be the candidate who tells everybody what they need to know when they need to know it.
yeah,
Everyone says that,
yeah.
but this is like the town almost preemptively saying, let's open the books.
Sure.
Here's what the police department's been up to. Here's what public works has
Yeah,
been up to. And they've got a long range time period on each of those graphs, so you can
yep.
really track them throughout the year.
I mean, to me, it's really interesting in that back in the day when I was elected official, there was no off-the-shelf anything to be able to present this data. I know they're using Microsoft BI, I think, for showing the graphs, et cetera. And it's a great way to graphically share information and query information. And I agree with you. Here's the information. If you have, it's nice to be able to present the information so it gives people the chance to ask an informed question as opposed to say, oh, I heard this. This is, well, if you go here, here's what the numbers are. So, kudos to the team who put it together. I think it'll go a long way. The other long-term planning item that you covered was from the council meeting the other night was the arboretum on the 30 or so acres that the town purchased several years ago along the waterfront.
Sure. So this is a um, imagine the longest term thing you've ever done. It's
Sure.
longer than that. It's longer than that. The town bought this land back in 2023 for
Right.
about $5.5 million. Um, so it's about 28 and a half acres off River Road,
Right.
Highway 133. It's south of the Riverwalk. So if you know where the
Sure.
Belleville Riverwalk is, it's
Yeah.
south of that. But it is on that side of the road, facing
Hmm.
the river. So the town bought this land, and Bob Campbell said at the council meeting, he said, we bought it and we had people just asking, what are we going to do with it?
Yep.
And he said, at the time, we didn't really know.
Hmm.
But they've got an incredible map. I mean,
Sure.
um, it's 31 amenities and just points of interest throughout the whole thing. But the grand scheme is it would be I don't know if this will be the name, but
Right.
the Leland Arboretum. So
Right.
they would have native trees, native
Yep.
gardens.
Yep.
They said there's some muscadine grapes out on that
Okay.
property. They
Okay.
could create a vineyard out there. And then so that's about 60% of the property.
Okay.
It would have some kayak
Sure.
launch, some piers, that sort of thing out in the river.
Okay.
But then the other half, or 40%, is an event center. So build
Right.
up an event center. They said they would put it on the highest part of
Right.
the property. They said it would overlook the river, overlook into Eagles Island,
Right.
and it could become, a wedding venue, a, convention space.
Sure.
It would be a tourist attraction at the Arboretum, but it would also
Yep.
be a business um, attraction as well for groups to gather and have meetings. They talked about maybe putting a restaurant down in the bottom floor of
Sure.
that they could rent out through a RFP, or
Sure.
yeah, request for proposals, request for
Sure.
qualifications process, and have a restaurant just lease that
Okay.
and operate a restaurant. So um, it's lofty. I mean, it's
Yeah.
um, to spoil the end of my story. Bob Campbell did have the quote of the point was, he said, obviously it's not going to be inexpensive. So
No.
we're a long way out and we're a lot of money away from making this happen, but it is
Yeah.
a lofty um, goal that's
Right.
pretty commendable for space that the town had just sitting there.
I mean, if you look at Founders Park, was one of those things. It took time, took effort, took money, and it's beautiful and well used. And I've been to the two public concerts, and the second one was as well attended as the grand opening. So it's a nice night. I know that they moved Fridays indoors just because of the weather, and then next week is a band related to the British invasion, Beatles, Rolling Stones, The Who, etc. But I mean, so that's well used. You also have the Sturgeon Creek project that they just received a grant on, right? And so I mean, the initial investment is the beginning, and then how they work towards, other grants and private sector investment. I know when you talk to folks, having a higher end dining experience in Leland is something that people have expressed themselves about. And boy, having something right on the water, overlooking the Brunswick River, I could see be a very attractive and economically rewarding opportunity for a private sector investment. Again, a story to be written, that will continue on for some time. Last but not least, as we talk, it's August, end of August, almost the end of August. School is open, and you visited the principal of the North Brunswick High School, the home of the Scorpions, to chat about the new school year, the number of new teachers they brought on, new academic programs.
I
Um,
did. So I believe school starts Monday, August
right.
24th. So it's the last weekend. The football team played last night, and that's kind of a tradition here in North Carolina. First football game is always before the first day of school,
Okay.
which can be weird
Yes.
sometimes. But so they've played football, but now they go back to school on Monday. So uh, yeah, I sat down with Dr. Margaret Rollison, over at the school, and she's coming off a pretty big award. She was the county principal of the year last year.
Right.
So she's going into her third year at the high school, and uh, it's the biggest. If you're not aware of the three high schools, it is the biggest,
Mhm.
and it's growing, and that's why we have a school bond
Sure.
to maybe build another one. But so the not only is the student population growing, the staff population is
Yeah.
growing. So they've grown from about 90 to more than 100 teachers in the
Mhm.
last few years. Um, if you've never been over there, they're split into different buildings. So
Okay.
one of the big points was you can have a teacher upstairs in one building, another teacher downstairs across campus, and they
Right.
never see each other. So
Yeah.
they said they're building all these, inner working groups
Right.
to get the teachers who are teaching the same subjects together, making sure students are on the same, getting a similar
Right.
experience in the same class. They're moving at the same speed, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um, And yeah, they've got some new classes. So they've got a new the AVID program,
Okay.
which is like a college career readiness program. That's
Okay.
they're going to graduate their first class since COVID this year. Um, but they are offering AP Environmental Science to that AVID
Okay.
program for the first time. And then they're also adding AP Calculus
Okay.
BC for the first time this year. So there's some advanced placement classes that are getting added.
Okay.
They've got 15 new teachers this year, and they're not all new
Wow.
teachers.
Yeah.
Some of them are experienced teachers coming
Sure.
from a different area. So
Yeah.
every year, every school year, there's always something new and there's always something
Right.
exciting. So
Yeah.
those are definitely coming this year. Some exciting times.
Well, you mentioned the school bond. I mean, there will be a new high school up our way, one way or the other. The bond passing helps them to finance it at a lower cost than if they have to go another way. But when I had talked to the school superintendent, they're adding the equivalent of in terms of students, an equivalent of an elementary school every 3 years. And so, and in North Brunswick High School, there is no space to put in it's built out. The campus is built out. So, yeah, I mean, it is a challenge for the teachers, but it's exciting for them, the new staff, new opportunities. I could tell you right now, I would not be taking the advanced calculus class whatsoever. Was not my strong part in high school. Barely making it out of trigonometry, but that's okay. That's okay. Well, I'm going to have a similar conversation with her hopefully in September, and talk about those things and a little bit more. As always, George, thank you for your time. To people who are watching, please sign up for the North Brunswick News newsletter. They don't spam you. You get once a week, you get a nice newsletter from the news telling you what's going on, compilation of George's articles or other articles, and with event information, et cetera. It's a nice way of keeping track of what's happening in a really fast growing place. So, George, thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Good seeing you.
Yeah, man.